The conference room fell completely silent the moment I said the words no one else in the company had ever dared to say. Every executive around the polished glass table expected me to compliment our CEO's brilliant strategy or congratulate her on another record-breaking quarter. Instead, I looked directly at her and quietly admitted that she was amazing, not because she was the woman who ran a billion-dollar company, but because she carried the invisible weight of everyone else's expectations without ever asking for sympathy. For a heartbeat, no one breathed. Then she smiled with tired eyes and said, "Most men just see the title, not the woman." In that single sentence, the strongest person in the building revealed the loneliness she had hidden for years. If you believe kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances still matter in this world, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel so our community can continue sharing stories that remind us humanity is still alive. When I first joined Hartwell Dynamics, I wasn't chasing prestige. I was chasing stability. After years of bouncing between temporary jobs and watching my father lose everything after his small construction company collapsed, I knew what uncertainty looked like. Every paycheck mattered. Every opportunity felt fragile. The company had a reputation for excellence, but it also carried another reputation whispered among employees during lunch breaks. Everyone said the CEO, Meredith Collins, was impossible to impress. She expected perfection, noticed every mistake, and never mixed business with emotions. The first time I saw her, she was walking through the headquarters with remarkable confidence, greeting employees by name while reviewing financial reports without slowing her pace. People straightened their posture the moment she appeared. Some admired her. Others feared disappointing her. Most simply stayed out of her way. I understood why. She was brilliant. She was disciplined. She demanded excellence because she demanded even more from herself. Yet there was something else that caught my attention. Every conversation she had seemed to end the same way. The other person would praise the company's success, congratulate her leadership, or mention her impressive achievements. Nobody asked how she was doing. Nobody wondered whether carrying thousands of employees on her shoulders ever became exhausting. It wasn't my place to ask either. At least, that's what I believed. Months passed, and I slowly earned a reputation for solving difficult problems without seeking recognition. My department handled client recovery projects, often stepping into situations where relationships had already been damaged. I discovered that listening carefully accomplished more than speaking loudly. Clients appreciated honesty. Coworkers appreciated reliability. Eventually my work reached Meredith's attention. She invited me to several executive planning meetings even though I wasn't part of senior leadership. Many executives questioned why someone from middle management deserved a seat at the table. I ignored the whispers and focused on contributing thoughtful ideas. One afternoon, a major client threatened to cancel a contract worth nearly $80 million. The room filled with panic. Executives argued over numbers, presentations, and legal strategies. Everyone discussed profits. Nobody discussed people. I quietly suggested that perhaps the client wasn't angry about pricing but about feeling ignored after years of loyalty. The room dismissed my opinion almost instantly. Meredith didn't. Instead, she asked me to explain. I described how every email, every delayed response, and every forgotten promise slowly convinced people they mattered less than quarterly earnings. The room became quiet. She nodded once. The following day she personally visited the client alongside a small team. They spent hours listening instead of negotiating. The contract stayed. Afterward, everyone praised Meredith's leadership. She accepted the compliments with polite professionalism, but something about her expression seemed distant. Several weeks later the company celebrated another successful quarter with a daytime appreciation event held in the courtyard outside headquarters. There were speeches, music, families, and laughter. Employees relaxed in ways I had never witnessed before. Children ran across the grass while parents introduced spouses and grandparents to co-workers. Meredith attended alone. She smiled for photographs. She congratulated employees. She shook hundreds of hands. Then she quietly stood beside the fountain, watching everyone else share moments with the people they loved. For the first time, I didn't see a CEO. I saw someone standing completely alone in the middle of hundreds of people. Later that afternoon, I accidentally found myself waiting beside her for the elevator. Neither of us spoke for several moments. Finally, I mentioned that the event had been wonderful. She thanked me politely. Then silence returned. Without thinking, I told her something that surprised even me. I said she had built more than a successful company. She had created a place where thousands of families felt secure enough to dream again. She looked at me carefully. I continued by saying that everyone celebrated the executive sitting in the corner office, but I wondered how often anyone remembered the woman who sacrificed weekends, holidays, friendships, and probably far more than anyone realized to make all of this possible. Her eyes softened. She smiled. Then came the sentence I would never forget. Most men just see the title, not the woman. There wasn't bitterness in her voice. Only quiet disappointment. That conversation lasted less than 5 minutes. Yet somehow it changed everything. Not because it became romantic. Because it became honest. Over the following months, our conversations remained professional, but they became more genuine. We discussed leadership, responsibility, failure, and the strange loneliness that often accompanies success. Meredith admitted she couldn't remember the last time someone had complimented her character without mentioning revenue, awards, or market value. She confessed that people often assumed powerful women didn't need encouragement because strength appeared to replace vulnerability. I disagreed. Strength simply hides vulnerability more effectively. One morning, rumors began spreading throughout headquarters. Some employees noticed Meredith asking for my opinion more frequently. Others assumed favoritism. Whispers turned into accusations. Anonymous online comments claimed I was manipulating the CEO to advance my career. The promotions I had earned through years of hard work suddenly became suspicious in everyone's eyes. Friends became distant. Co-workers stopped inviting me to lunch. One executive openly suggested I had mastered the art of flattering powerful people. The accusations hurt. Not because strangers questioned my integrity. Because they questioned Meredith's. They assumed a successful woman couldn't recognize genuine honesty. When Meredith learned about the rumors, many expected immediate disciplinary action against those responsible. Instead, she surprised everyone. She gathered the entire leadership team during a daytime company meeting. Without naming anyone, she spoke about respect. She explained that organizations fail the moment people become more interested in gossip than truth. She reminded everyone that leadership requires listening to uncomfortable perspectives regardless of job title. Then she said something remarkable. She explained that the greatest compliment she had received in years wasn't about her intelligence or achievements. It was hearing someone recognize her humanity. The room became silent. Several people lowered their eyes. No one expected vulnerability from the strongest person in the building. After the meeting, something changed. Not overnight. But gradually. Employees began speaking differently. Managers started checking on team members instead of only reviewing performance reports. Executives began celebrating acts of kindness alongside financial milestones. The culture slowly shifted. Months later, tragedy struck my own family when my father suffered a severe stroke during the middle of a workday. I rushed to the hospital believing my career might be over after abandoning several important meetings. Instead, Meredith personally instructed the company to redistribute my responsibilities indefinitely. She told me my family needed me more than the office did. For weeks, I barely entered headquarters. I spent long days helping my father relearn simple movements while encouraging my exhausted mother not to lose hope. One afternoon, flowers arrived at the rehabilitation center without any company logo attached. There was only a handwritten note. It simply said that strong people also deserve someone believing in them. No signature. I recognized the handwriting immediately. When I eventually returned to work, I thanked Meredith privately. She smiled but redirected the conversation toward my father's recovery. Recognition wasn't why she had done it. Compassion was. Years passed. The company continued growing, but something far more important had grown alongside it. Its heart. New employees often commented that Hartwell Dynamics felt different from other corporations. People still worked hard. Standards remained high. Excellence was still expected. But humanity had become equally important. Performance reviews included discussions about mentorship. Managers were encouraged to recognize quiet acts of integrity. Employees experiencing personal hardships received genuine support instead of polite emails. Visitors often wondered how such a demanding organization also felt remarkably compassionate. Few knew that its transformation had begun with one honest sentence spoken beside an elevator. Eventually, Meredith announced she would retire after decades of leadership. Her farewell celebration took place on a bright afternoon beneath clear blue skies outside the headquarters she had spent so many years building. Thousands attended. Former employees returned from across the country. Families filled the courtyard. Children who had once attended company picnics now stood as adults pursuing careers of their own. When it came time for speeches, dozens of executives praised profits, expansion, awards, and innovation. Their words were sincere. Then someone unexpectedly invited me to the stage. Looking across the crowd, I didn't speak about business success. I spoke about courage. I told everyone that true leadership isn't measured by quarterly earnings but by the number of lives forever changed because someone chose compassion instead of convenience. I thanked Meredith for teaching us that people should never become smaller than their job titles. As I finished speaking, I noticed tears quietly running down faces throughout the audience. Meredith embraced me with the warmth of someone who finally understood she had always been seen for who she truly was. Not simply the CEO. Not merely the architect of an extraordinary company. But a woman who spent decades carrying impossible responsibilities while still finding room in her heart to care for others. Before we reach the end of this journey, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever met someone the world admired for their success while quietly overlooking their humanity? Please leave a meaningful comment sharing the lesson this story reminded you of, because your words might encourage someone reading them today. As everyone slowly left the celebration, sunlight reflected across the glass walls of the headquarters. Meredith paused one final time before walking away. She looked back not with regret, but with peace. The building would continue without her. New leaders would arrive. New challenges would come. Yet the greatest legacy she left behind wasn't measured in revenue or awards. It lived in thousands of people who had learned that every title belongs to a human heart, every position hides unseen struggles, and every act of sincere kindness has the power to transform a life. Sometimes the greatest compliment isn't telling someone they're successful. Sometimes it's reminding them they're seen. Not for what they own. Not for what they've achieved. Not for the title printed beneath their name. But for the person they've quietly remained through every sacrifice. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. May we all remember to see the person before the position, the heart before the title, and the human being behind every success.